For more on Syria, joining us here in the studio, our senior reporter, James André. You just got back from Syria yesterday, where you spent a total of 10 days. You actually arrived in Syria the very next day that the rebel group HTS overthrew the long-lasting Bashar al-Assad regime. How was your welcome to the country where there hasn't been a strong presence of Western journalists like yourself in perhaps over a decade?
Yeah, no, I was very happy to go to Damascus, actually, because in fact, over the years, to cover what was going on in the eastern part of the country, I had entered, Syria legally a couple of times, which meant I could definitely not get a visa with the regime. So, actually having an opportunity to be there was something quite important for myself. But no, it was incredible because the people were so happy. You see these pictures. This is the exact moment we crossed the border into Syria, where we realized there were no soldiers. And these two men who were in the car basically with us, we were sharing this trip with them. Well, they were just, so happy to be able to return to their country. They were part of the opposition. They'd been outside of Syria for 12 years. And of course, there was a lot of emotion as we were driving towards Damascus, seeing all these people tearing down the giant portrait of Bashar al-Assad, and we arrived at Omiyad Square, where there was, huge celebration, basically, with people shooting in the air, because that's how people would celebrate over there. But no, there was a lot of happiness. We saw people dancing on the streets the following day at the market, and basically everyone wanted to speak to us, as foreign journalists, to explain, what this change meant for them, what they were hoping for. And no, it was great. And I mean, even the minorities who were very worried to see Bashar al-Assad disappear were also quite eager to speak to us, simply because they wanted to tell their side of the story. But what we saw was basically, I'd say, this iron lid that was on this society just burst open, and we were there to witness that. So it was amazing.
And not only the civilians, you were actually able to meet with some of the prisoners that were released from jails, notably Sandaya prison as well. What did they have to say after this newfound freedom?
Well, I mean, the ones we saw were really in a state of shock. These prisoners had just been released. Obviously, what happened when you understand how the Syrian society used to work under Bashar al-Assad, the first thing people did was rush to these prisons to open the doors. So the people we met were very much in a state of shock. It was in a hospital. So, they were just getting over the fact of having been locked up for so long. So they found themselves in this ward where you had literally hundreds of people from various families turning up with photos saying, look, do you know this person? Have you seen this person? You were in Sednaya. My uncle was in Sednaya. Did you see him? Do you know him? Etc. Etc. And this man here, for example, who's basically not speaking at all. He was in a state of complete shock. And then we went on to visit these prisons, and what we realized, if you like, is the utter horror of what was going on inside these prisons. The detention conditions, the fact that basically spoke to these mothers who said, their sons, they turned up with pictures saying, look, he disappeared in 2012. It was in February. And then you asked them why they were put away. And they said, we don't know. We don't know why they were arrested. They were just, plucked off the street, and people would just disappear. And there are a lot of rumors around about how the regime at one stage ran out of room in the prison, so decided to just execute everyone. So there's also these mass graves that are starting to be discovered across the country. And indeed, there's a lot of despair for these families. It's something which is very, very heartbreaking to when you talk to them. All these people are just desperately searching for loved ones. And you've got pictures appearing all over Damascus on Sednaya that we visited, Sednaya prison. People are just putting these placards with these pictures of their loved ones, hoping that someone might come back with some information.
So there's the despair. Also, where do we go from here regarding the challenges that this country needs to rebuild itself, where people are also rejoicing after the fall of Bashar al-Assad? But how are Syrians reacting to the arrival of the new authority, the HTS? Are they skeptical? Are they hopeful? From what you've seen firsthand in Syria, do you think that things will be okay for Syrians?
Well, look, I want to believe they will, and I'm hopeful, but obviously there are, terrible challenges ahead. Now, people we've been speaking to, told us, we're just happy to see Bashar al-Assad leave. You've got to realize that, it's not going to happen overnight. This dictatorship lasted for 55 years. It was a gruesome dictatorship, and it was very, very tough. And basically, people were just so happy that it was over. That's the first thing, including, for example, the Alawites, who were telling us, now, obviously, you could think that they were trying to cover whatever they'd done, but they were telling us, look, we had no choice. We had to be with the power. If not, they'd just throw us into jail as well. And these are these this family, for example, returning to a barrack. They're members of the 4th Division, which is an infamous division of the Syrian army that's led by Bashar al-Assad's brother. So obviously this has all disappeared. But their doors have been broken down. People have been visiting their apartments. They'd all fled. This family is coming back. They have nowhere to go. But what you see is that people are worried that, you have those who want justice, who want those who did torture to be condemned and judged. You have those who want to see national unity again and who say we're all Syrians together. And then, of course, there will be pressure on HTS from its hardliners who want to see Sharia implemented. So where we go from here is going to be a narrow path for the new administration, and hopefully, Syria will be free.